Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I'd like to welcome Lindsay Spurgeon, founder of the NeoHERO Foundation, and we're here today to talk about saving babies. Hey, Lindsay, how you doing?
Hi, Bill. I'm doing great.
So, you were telling me you've got this new thing that NeoHERO Foundation is doing. So, tell me about this. This is you said it's sort of a subsidiary, but what do you mean by that? Give me a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the listeners who are familiar with NeoHERO Foundation are probably already seeing Saving Babies out there, Saving Babies LLC. Saving Babies is a single member limited liability company. Right. I am the founder of Saving Babies. And in our design of NeoHERO and with consideration to the mission, we wanted the ability to be innovative. We wanted the ability to, improve neonatal healthcare. And the best way to protect, a nonprofit from that standpoint is to have an additional for-profit arm, a company, a separate company that has separate management, keeps everything arm's length, and allows us to be innovative. It allows us to come up with ideas on how we can improve neonatal healthcare, whether it be through development of technology, development of medical equipment, whatever the case may be. And then, we can seek investors so that we can get the mission moving forward.
Right. Yeah, and this makes sense to me. I'm familiar with another entity that's very similar, structured very similar. It's a big entity up in the Washington D.C. area. It's a company called MITRE, and it's structured very similar. It's got a not-for-profit portion and a for-profit portion, and like you said, they both perform a vital function. So tell me, you guys must have been, you've been pushing hard on the NeoHERO Foundation, and you're doing all these amazing things, training all these firefighters and EMS people all around South Carolina. So I imagine you and your board kind of put your head together. So what was sort of the impetus of like, okay, we need this other thing. What piece are we missing here,
Yeah, so really it was in discussing with the board, we were trying to figure out how we were going to get equipment. So a lot of my grassroots approach to NeoHERO has been to become friends with fire and EMS, bring them in, make them a part of this. I want their opinions about things. I consult with them, not just to see how I can help them, but to see what ideas they have for, NeoHERO, what makes us impactful and meaningful and give us purpose. And one of the things is equipment's expensive.
Yes.
Accessibility is one thing, funding's another. And a lot of the mission awareness piece was these babies are high acuity but low occurrence. So they don't see a lot of it. But when they do, it's really important that they have what they need so they can save a life. And when discussing that with the board, the thought is NeoHERO's new. NeoHERO has no money. The grants really need to go towards the mission of being able to deliver the education. Right. But in order to have the funding to design, manufacture, distribute the equipment or technology that we are currently working on, we needed a different arm to do that.
Yeah, and that makes total sense to me. I worked in an area earlier in my career that has a similar challenge, which is it was a super high risk, but a low probability. And thank God, neonatal emergencies are a lower probability, but it's not zero. And then you still need, and when you need the equipment, you really need it right then and there, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, the great thing is so Saving Babies is not owned by NeoHERO. Saving Babies is completely and entirely separate. but Saving Babies is going to have several subsidiaries.
Oh,
One of
nice.
them being a public benefit, like a benefit corporation
Right.
that will be specific to the Neo Master course for fire and EMS,
Mm-hmm.
and if NICU staff wants it, whatever the case may be. And then there will be an intellectual property subsidiary for investors and design and things like that.
Nice. So, what are like the really big things for the Saving Babies? You mentioned sort of like the training. You sort of mentioned some IP. Are you guys going to actually develop your own like neonatal equipment?
We have 6 current designs that we have been meeting about,
Oh,
and
wow.
we're working on the patent paperwork currently. And honestly, it gets my heart all aflutter just talking about it, because I think that this is going to be life changing. I think
Nice.
that healthcare is going to just, jaws are going to drop. So I'm very excited.
That is super exciting. And I know, in the patent process, you have to be somewhat kind of hush hush about exactly what you're doing.
Sure.
But I want to tease this out a little bit, which is like, okay, you're going to be producing medical equipment. Now, that's a regulated area. If anybody out there doesn't get that, it's a very regulated area by the FDA. What is your strategy around going from, okay, we got a good idea, we've got a patent, we've maybe produced a proof of concept. How do you get past the next hurdles, which is, hey, I got to get the FDA to say I can actually sell this?
Yeah. So it's actually really something that is new to me, and it's something that I'm learning as I go. Thank goodness. I have some amazing people that are already helping me. I have a friend and mentor who referred me to a company that she's worked with on her neonatal patents
Oh, nice.
previously. Warrior NP is the
Nice.
company. And but yeah, so she's referred me to someone who is very experienced in this world and is guiding me weekly. We meet and discuss, we get each other homework and come together. And then, we've brought in an attorney. So um, moving forward, we've got a couple of consults we need to do. But
Yeah,
yeah, it has to be, federally regulated,
right.
and the FDA does have to approve some of this. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I know a few folks at the FDA, and I'll tell you this, most people won't believe this out there because usually this is not the case. They're the nicest folks in the world. And what they have told, they tell, they meet with us for this in this committee I'm in developing standards, and they tell people all the time, hey, come talk to us. It's okay. Come talk to us as early as you want to. The earlier, the better. We're happy to advise you about any of this kind of stuff. And it's just been kind of, because most people have this view of regulatory agencies very like standoffish. It's like, don't come talk to me until you have everything completely done. They haven't been that way at all. They've been like, and they've talked to a lot of folks in, my kind of area over here in exoskeletons about this kind of stuff. So I assume they would do the same thing for you guys. So I'm hoping you have a really wonderful experience with that, even though they like to see a lot of data, and so, I'm sure you're very familiar with that. So,
Oh, yes.
so you were talking to me a little earlier about, you're looking for partners, strategic type partners. So what kind of folks are you looking for? What do you need right now?
We do need investors. We do need people who are about this mission. Again, this is a benefit corporation. This is for
Right.
the benefit of newborns, for the benefit
Mm.
of the mission that NeoHERO shares. So in itself, that's a strategic partnership between Saving Babies and NeoHERO. But for the intellectual property piece,
Mm.
to develop, to design, to manufacture, to market, to get all of these things out there so they can be, in use within the next year or two.
Right.
We're hopeful to find companies, whether they be, individuals, privately funded, or it be, hospitals or
Right.
companies such as Zoll or Stryker, or,
Yeah.
essentially
Yeah. Smith.
someone who has a particular interest in neonatal health.
Right. And all the things that you're focused on is neonatal health. Is it, and I'll kind of ask around this because I don't know this area very well. You're the expert here, but is it focused toward like the emergency situation where, you know, it's more tools for like your firefighter EMS, or is it also tools and devices for once the baby's in the hospital and they're dealing with there, because, you know, there's a full spectrum that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Bill. It actually so like I said, there's six different um ideas. There's six different patents. And I would say of the six, at least two are directly beneficial to NICUs as well.
Okay.
All six are beneficial to EMS and fire.
Okay.
And then I would say all six would be beneficial for like an interfacility critical care transport team that transports
Right.
neonates in their hospital environment. But maybe one of them not as much.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah.
Do you guys, again, I'm working from, you know, basically, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what the six patents are, everybody. She hasn't told me this, so I'm making this up as I go along. Is there any reliance or dependency on your, I'll call them six devices, on other pieces of equipment where you're going to have to do some interface type work and make it, you know, do some things to kind of show, hey, this is going to work with this other thing too?
Um, I would say not particularly.
Okay.
Maybe, two of these items, they are simple in the sense that they could get to market very, very quickly.
Cool.
The issue is going to be it requires some other manufacturers and distributors contributing.
Okay. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
completely fair. I mean, you know, you're you're in a medical setting. Obviously, things need to work, have some interoperability, but sometimes there's a little bit heavier dependence on things or not. Say, for
Right.
instance, say you guys designed a new oxygen mask. Obviously, the oxygen mask got to plug into the line and plug into the oxygen. You know, it's
Mhm.
like that's what I'm thinking in my head, kind of stuff.
Yep. Yep. It's nothing like that. So each one of them would operate independently. They're like a completely independent design. However, there are two that do require pieces of the puzzle, if you will,
Right.
that would
Right.
definitely come from somewhere else. Hmm.
Now, let me ask you a tougher question here. Well, it's not tough for
Hmm.
you, it's tough for me because I don't know. Is so, how much training are the firefighters and EMS going to need in order to use these things? Because, you know, you're putting something brand new on the market here, and they may be like, whoa, whoa, hold on. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I did think about that actually. That kept me up pretty late one of these nights. I don't think it'll be too bad.
Okay.
Some of it's pretty straightforward, some of it's pretty easy. I would say that as far as like extensive training, no.
Okay.
Understanding it a little bit, having some instructions, um, will definitely be necessary,
Right.
but I think they're going to be like, it'll be able to go right into use immediately.
Nice. Any, you know, I'm kind of guessing here a little bit. Any predictable or what you would think would be accommodations that like your fire and EMS would have to do as far as their go kit or the, you know, their ambulance setup or their, you know, helicopter
Nope.
setup, you know. So it's all
They
it's
won't
gonna
have to.
fit in, right?
Yep, it's not going to have to change anything. They might, I would say they might need just a little bit of extra space,
Right.
maybe,
Right.
but it should be pretty easy to integrate into their current setups. Um, and I think it's just going to be they're going to be so excited when they find out what all
I'm
of
pretty
this.
excited. I don't even know what it is. So, you know,
We're
this
working on an entire neonatal portfolio,
I like
essentially.
this. I like this.
Yeah.
And so, so the strategy right now, it sounds like, okay, you're working, you know, you guys are in the lab doing your things and you're working on the patent stuff. When is the, and you're trying to get partnerships, when is your kind of predicted like, hey, we're going to have like something out for people to use? Where is that timeline kind of?
Well, depending on funding, which could happen, we are talking to some people already. And then in the next few weeks, I think I'll definitely have a little bit better of an
Okay.
idea. But projected between some of this stuff being out in the market as early as 6 months,
Okay.
probably closer to a year,
Yeah.
and then other products will be at least 18 months, maybe over
Right.
2 years. I mean, again, some of them do require extensive FDA
Yeah.
and
They may have clinical trials or
FAA.
something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
like, things like that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
let me ask you an even harder question. This one is kind of like, I know you're going to have to guess, but I know you've probably thought about this. So, what, and you can pick one or you can talk about all six. What
Mhm.
are they going to do to change the outcomes for the babies?
Safety. Safety. It's
Yeah,
all about safety. Safety's number one for me. I think right now the biggest thing is like I had said, accessibility to equipment is a problem.
right,
And the market, you know, I'm not going to mention any names because I have to work with these companies and they're wonderful and
right.
everybody's trying to pay their bills, but the market is really expensive to buy some of this equipment. And what one company charges might be double what another one does, which sometimes really has blown my mind while I've been, you know, becoming this businesswoman and trying to help EMS through NeoHERO. And that's the frustrating piece of this. So what I'm
Right.
trying to do is have a company that is going to set those prices in the market. And it's going
Nice.
to be really hard for anyone to argue with that, because if I can do it for less and it's a better quality, better
Right.
opportunity, and it has more accessibility to the people who need it the most, then that in itself is worth it.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to capitalism. That's how it works. That's exactly it.
Exactly.
And that's
Yep.
that's that is the beauty of it, is when you can bring something to people that makes a difference and do it in a way that nobody else has done it, and do it hopefully cheaper and better. That's awesome, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the hope. And the hope would be able to offer everything that they need
Yeah.
um, directly from saving babies.
That's awesome. So, and I assume that because you have this, you're cooking this in this partnership between Saving Babies and NeoHERO Foundation. NeoHERO would have sort of direct access to all of this stuff as part of the foundation.
Yes. So some of the technology pieces, part of the main reason it needed to be protected is because, you know, hospitals could benefit from some of this. That's not really now. NeoHero is 100%. The mission is to help babies, right?
Right,
So
right,
I mean, essentially, but our audience, our mission is really focused on EMS and fire.
right.
Um, so a lot of it, I think, will be exclusive to NeoHero. It's a little early for me to be able
Right.
to say for certain. But the biggest thing is my number one goal with saving babies and it being a benefit corporation is that we make a lot of donations to NeoHero.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like want we want that. That's the whole point.
Right.
So
And that makes a lot of
donations of
sense.
equipment, donations of education, donations of whatever we possibly can.
Yep. Yep. That makes complete sense. So now that you've got this kind of going, what message do you want to get out there to people about, saving babies, and how can they get involved? There's going to be, individuals, there may be corporations. Should they reach out to you directly? How should they kind of contact you? Either just get more information, say, hey, I heard what you said. I'm all in. Just tell me how I can help.
Yeah, they can contact me. They can contact me directly.
Okay.
I'm pretty open to conversations with anybody who is interested in having those conversations, and that's where we're at. That's the phase we're in
Right.
currently.
And email is fine, or a phone call. What do you prefer?
Yeah, they can actually email or call me.
Okay.
I can give that information if you want that, Bill.
Sure, sure. And you can either say it on the audio here, or I'll put it in the podcast information. Either way, whatever is better for you. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
certainly. So it's 854-256-8100. That's where you can best reach me.
Nice.
Phone call, voicemail,
That's
whatever. And
that.
then email, is lindsay.spurgeon@neoherofoundation.org. Or, you can find my contact information really easily on the NeoHERO website, which is www.neoherofoundation.org.
Perfect. That's awesome. And so I think that's amazing. So as you're kind of moving forward, are you guys going to do like any kind of events? I don't know. I don't want to call it fundraiser, but some kind of thing to
Yeah,
get people together.
sure, yeah. So currently, NeoHERO Foundation, we're actually meeting tomorrow to
Oh,
talk
nice.
about some 2026 events that we're going to have that are for NeoHERO specifically. Because again, NeoHERO is the number one priority on my list. So we want to be able to get some more awareness out there this year. I think we're going to be doing like a game night
Oh,
kind of
nice.
deal, which I think will
Nice.
be really fun. We've had some discussions of doing a golf outing, which we would plan in 2026, but those are very time
Right.
consuming and they take a lot of planning. So there'll probably
Right.
be 2027 for that. And then we have our wonderful company from Indiana,
Hmm.
Lafayette, Indiana, Freckles Graphics. They've launched a merchandise store for awareness.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so on their own volition, it's to the benefit of NeoHERO Foundation. Each purchase, they make a donation. So anyone who wants to get involved in that way,
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
yeah,
No.
we got some cool hats and t-shirts and things.
Right,
So
right. That is
yeah.
awesome. So I know if people do like, and I'm making some assumptions, so correct me if I'm wrong. I know if people do donations to Neo Hero Foundation, it's you can write it off your taxes because you're donated to a not for profit. How about how about if people want to invest? I'll say in this saving babies. Are you guys going to be like, hey, we're looking for kind of big investors, or are you eventually going to move to like, hey, you can buy some stocks or you can do this other thing? What's your plan?
So I gotta be honest with you. I just did the business filings today.
Okay.
Saving Babies was already incorporated, but the subsidiaries
Right.
require additional paperwork, and there's many subsidiaries. I do think stock options and shareholders are definitely a possibility for the benefit corporation. It's like all part of it. Currently, right now, we're just doing one class
Right.
because I have not gotten far enough into it yet. But I do think that there will be public options for that type of
Great.
investment. Right now, the priority is private investors or public partnerships.
Right.
It would be wonderful to have public partnerships in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at all angles. Whatever can get the mission going, whatever can get this out there, that's what we want.
Hey, I love it. I love it because that's what you got to be about. It's like, listen, we got a mission here. We want to get it out here. Let's move forward. And coalition. I'm a big fan. Coalition of the willing kind of thing.
Exactly, exactly. And I don't, it's not like I had this grand plan a year ago. Neo Heroes 1 year anniversary is in 4 days. I had
Right.
that piece of paper from the Secretary of State. It's not even been a year yet. So as these ideas had come to me and saving babies became a thing, and now we've got attorneys and other companies involved, I never had this like
Right.
vision on exactly how this was going to go. But the good thing is it's evolving into something that's incredible, and it's evolving into something that's like a dream I can't describe
Yeah.
in better words.
No, and I can remember like we talked last year, and you were focused on the hero, getting the foundation up and moving, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, we're growing, we're expanding and stuff like that. So it's super exciting, and it's great to see that, and it's great to see that you're kind of open to kind of like, okay, here's another area we really need this, and this is why it fits with what we're doing. So I really applaud you for that. That is
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, I think it's just like hurdles and challenges come up. And one of the hurdles and challenges for a nonprofit is always funding,
Yes.
always.
Yes.
And so to be able to find ways that you can be creative, innovative, and be able to get your mission out there the best you can, one of the ways we can do that is by making the education more accessible
Right.
and more, I guess, affordable. And then the same thing with the equipment. The equipment's hard to get. It's
Right.
very hard to get.
Right.
And by the time we even pay shipping costs, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh
You
yeah.
just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a big thing. You know, we've all probably seen all the news about the looking at drug prices and stuff, and how it's variable around the world. Like one drug could be $100 in Europe and $1,000 here, and all of the news about that kind of stuff. And equipment, I imagine, is probably the same way. And shipping is always an issue, because you're also probably paying more for shipping just because it's a piece of medical equipment and you don't want it damaged. So, there's additional cost that probably we don't have when I get something from Amazon or something like that. So
exactly. And I think the most important thing for me anyways, and from what I've learned from all of this, is transparency that saving babies is for the mission. This is 100% the only reason why saving babies has even come to exist, is because of the challenges of the mission and the challenges for having it be a nonprofit, and the babies need it.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great thing. It's like you're addressing a need. So what have you learned doing this shift from a not-for-profit? You set up a foundation, which that's a big deal already. And now you're setting up a different type of business, this benefit corporation and subsidiaries. What have you learned on this process? What would you tell others who are even thinking about this crazy idea that you have done?
I would tell them that this has been an extremely wild ride, and it's just opened my eyes to so many things. It's just kind of incredible. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is I never thought, even 13 months ago, that any of this would be a part of my life. So if someone asked me, what I've learned from it, or what advice I would give them, I would just say that when you have something you're passionate about that is meaningful and provides purpose, just go for it.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, that is I think I'm glad you have that spirit. And I think that's kind of the spirit I hear from other like founders and stuff like that around the Charleston area. It's like, just go for it, get all the help you can get people together and just go for it. And I love that. And you're really setting a great example for everybody out there. I assume you're going to be very successful. So, I do worry though, you're starting to try to clone yourself. So, you're running 2 things, maybe 3 or 4 things here. So, I mean, maybe this is part of your patents here, is that you've come up with this cloning technology, which is awesome. But how are you kind of thinking about that, Lindsay? Because you're got lots of things on your plate here.
Yeah, we had this conversation today. Me and my smart technology guy and our attorney and one of our board members. I need help. So I'd love help. Anyone who is listening that hears me and wants to be a part of this meaningful purpose, this mission. We love volunteers. Hopefully eventually there's employment opportunities.
Right.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing. I have help behind the scenes. I do.
Good.
There's a lot of people helping me. I did not do this by myself, and I couldn't possibly.
I applaud you for that, because that's awesome. Because that's the thing. It's like, but you're kind of the face of the organization, so you get all the credit and all the blame, right?
Exactly. That's all it is too.
Right.
No, there's wonderful people behind the scenes helping me. I mean, I have to give a huge thank you to the local community as well as like the EMS and fire departments who are helping me. We've created an entire committee for NeoHERO Foundation, so that the Neo Master course can seek CAPC accreditation and NREMT recognition. The South Carolina State Department of Health has been phenomenal.
Awesome.
They've sponsored classes. They have wrote letters of recommendation. They have forwarded on the Neo Master course to other states.
Nice.
And I've been receiving requests for, education and support in other states. So it takes a village. I mean,
yes,
truly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't wait to, at some point you guys are going to have the NeoHERO Awards ceremony, and, it's going to be televised, and I'll be like, hey, I used to know some of those folks there.
That would be a dream, wouldn't it?
Right? You never know. You never know. Things are growing really fast for you guys, and I think there's a lot of firefighters, EMS, and hospitals out there that need help in this area. So I'm looking forward to see you guys grow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Me too.
Yeah. Well, I love talking to you, Lindsay. This has been great. Thank you so much. When you have some more updates, come back on. We'll talk some more. I want to hear about, maybe you start another business in the next 6 months. But let's talk about what's happening. I'd love to hear any updates about, like, once you get your patents and all that kind of done. You can talk a little bit more about each one. We can dig into that too.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, you have a great day.
You too, Bill. Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Ballott, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.